Very illuminating lecture. I have two questions. One is, again, regarding the Pakistan. What do you think, how far the Trump administration can go on Pakistan? Because there is a notion that further pressure on Pakistan will tilt it toward China, which maybe the US does not want it. And the second question is about the Russian role. Do you think any time in the future Russia can get along with the US on negotiation with the Taliban? And how do you assess the Russian recent efforts to kind of design its own negotiation and regional alignments in regards to negotiation with the Taliban? Thank you.
Yeah, they're both very good questions. Try to be concise. I think in the case of Pakistan's relationship with China, you're right. I mean, Pakistan is already nesting inside its relationship with China. It's the most important alliance that Pakistan has. It has been for a long time. And importantly, it's the most important alliance in the world China has. China is not a nation of allies the way the United States has been. I was involved with, during the, I guess, first part of the Obama second term with some track 2 dialogues, track 1.5 dialogues with the Chinese about Pakistan and Afghanistan. And I was really struck in that their specialists would say, you know, there is no country in the world that we have a relationship with like the one we have with Pakistan. And of course, they gave Pakistan a nuclear weapon to balance India. It's not always a mutually happy relationship, but it's a very deep one. And so I don't think the Americans would worry about tilting Pakistan toward China because Pakistan is already there. The question would be, can the United States and China find a means to pursue what is in fact their shared interest, which is that Afghanistan becomes stable and that it not collapse into violence that will inevitably spill across borders, that will inevitably fuel violent extremism. And this is China's neighborhood. China's trying to build a whole series of economic and political corridors across Central Asia. And if Afghanistan is going to fall back into a 10-year war, that is going to seriously disrupt China's project. You know, you can say as an American, well, the Chinese have been free riding on the security we have built up in NATO, but that's because we have a common interest in a stable Afghanistan. So the problem with Afghanistan in the US-China relationship is the same as it is in a sense with Russia, which is that Afghanistan becomes hostage to other problems in the great power relationship. So even back in 2012, when we would have these discussions about how we both had an interest in, both of our countries had an interest in a stable Pakistan that was not interfering violently in Afghanistan, and a stable Afghanistan that was consolidating constitutional government and preparing for economic development that would, by the way, benefit China. Okay, we could agree in principle at 30,000 feet on all of that, but then the Chinese side would point out, you know, we can't get onto the agenda of US-China relationships with these subjects. I mean, we've got South China Sea, we've got North Korea, now we've got trade. I mean, you know, we're way down the list. And to get the Chinese government to come off of its relationship with Pakistan and really take some risks in a regional diplomatic sense, especially with India's presence in Afghanistan, very hard. As to Russia, you know, the Russians right now, because of the sanctions that have been imposed over Crimea and other violations of Ukrainian sovereignty and other transgressions by the United States and Europe, I mean, Russia's posture right now is just one of disruption. Anything that will undermine the United States, they're interested in it. And that has brought them in lots of strange directions. If somehow that relationship stabilized and became more of like what it was in 2011 before the Syrian war, before the invasion of Crimea. Yes, the United States and Russia have a common interest in a stable Afghanistan. And I think the Russians watched the United States going into Afghanistan after 2001 and basically said, well, good luck with that. But they were not uncooperative or disruptive until very recently. And I think it's inseparable from the context of the kind of collapse of cooperation across many lines between the United States and Russia.